Press
Hello.
both buttons on Rumble.
Yep. Well, Rumble automatically starts. Hello, and welcome to a gaming conversation with friends. We are back once again with the Renegade Master, just for removable sanity. I will say that. But yeah, we're back again on this fine Monday. The weather's not been too bad, to be honest. It's been all right. It has. And we are live on YouTube, it seems. Oh, yep, we should be.
It just,
There's four people.
kicked in now, so yeah, we
four,
just clicked in.
There's 4 people. We should be live on Rumble as well. This is the new overlay. Let's have a look.
And I'm already outside.
And we're
I'm
live.
Removal SAR.
Yeah, I need to fix that. I fixed the overlay.
Last time.
Yeah, I've got to go in. I've got to go in and actually get a new Discord. I've got to reduce the image, but it's Removable Sanity. But yes, we are back again, live on YouTube and Rumble, and this week it's just the main panel this week. But don't worry, Masuku will return next week. Next Monday.
The harshness of it all.
He's back.
Just me, you, and VJ. How horrible.
Oh no.
Well, how will we ever? How will we ever move forward?
I did ask Masuku, but he said he couldn't this week. He said he can next week though.
He said he was gaming.
Maybe. But yeah, Removable, welcome back.
Bonjour, welcome. Yes, it's nice to be back. Obviously, we've got a nice brand new overlay with lots of prettiness about it and some Pac-Man, so it's nice to have some retro in there as well.
Yeah, it is the overlay, but it makes
dodgy thing in the corner though that looks weird. It says GamerHub, you know.
I'll explain soon about that. Yeah, thanks for coming back on Removable, and
of course,
VJ, thanks for coming on. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Evening, chaps. Just to warn you, we had a bit of a power cut earlier for a few hours, but hopefully that'll be behind us. But other than that, yeah, all good and ready to go.
Have you got a generator at your place, VJ?
A backup generator?
No,
I don't. We're kind of funny you should say that. We are eligible for one, and we keep getting contacted by the power company because of we look after someone elderly who requires medical treatment, etc. So they're kind of asking us, would we like to have one installed? But
is it for free?
I haven't looked into it yet. I haven't had. Yeah, the thing is when any American corporation gives you something for free, you've got to look into it.
Yeah, definitely, VJ. Yeah, you have.
What's the catch-22s on all of it? Yeah, exactly. Presumably, though, I would say you don't get many rolling blackouts in California, do you?
We don't normally, I mean, we've at the moment there's the internet company and the power company are pretty good. They let you know in like a week in advance that look, we've got major works and we want to kind of cut your power or cut your internet, and they try to do it sort of like during the night as well, which is good. But today's one was because I get up quite early, but today's one was quite random, and but for the rest of the household, it was like between 5 and about 4:30 and like 8:30, 4:30 and 7:30 or 8 a.m. So by the time everybody got up, the power was back on.
Oh, that's not so bad. I mean, we do get issues over in the UK, but that's normally because someone's decided to put a shovel through the actual cable.
Yeah, that's usually it. Yeah.
It's not normally. They normally say, "Oh, we can have a bit of a low time," but generally, if it's gone off, it's because someone's decided to, basically,
someone's pulled the wrong cable out.
Pulled the wrong cable out, or put a shovel through it, or something like that.
But that's quite rare. I mean, I remember I was on the show and Mr. Stubz raised something about power cuts, etc. And I said that when I was in England, the family home was like almost like 28 years old, and in the short time I'd been in the States, I'd experienced more power cuts in the US than I did in the whole of the period, nearly 30 odd years in the UK. It's quite astonishing.
You don't get many in the
UK. Always obviously.
No.
no.
It's
And
we are pretty. I think it's generally it's well we I suppose the power cables are, because of the weather in the UK, it has to be robust. It has to be a much more
yeah,
I suppose you
for
probably in
us, it's
California you might have to deal with heat, where we probably have to deal with cold, rain, and frost and permafrost and stuff like that.
it's everybody's got their air conditioning, sort of like during the summer, like now. We're okay where we are. We have quite a lot of breeze, but we're apart like 5 miles south, north, sort of any direction from us. People are sweltering, and they've got air conditioning blasting, but it's like every year there seems to be some sort of issue with the power companies.
Are you thinking
And
of possibly going down the old external battery route with some solar panels, just in case?
Not really, because where I live, you've got to deal with something called HOA,
Oh God.
like
Okay.
a
So yeah, I
yeah.
know very much about that. So let me guess, they don't like the angle. It's
Oh,
going to cause the neighbourhood to look a bit tardy, so therefore we're not going to use anything
Oh,
like
you're
that.
not in one of
yeah,
them,
like
VJ,
a
are you? Oh, goodness, I didn't know.
no. I mean, they don't really give me any grief, but like it's called HOA. For those that are not familiar with the term, it's called a homeowners association, and
Mm.
can't complain about where I live and etc. because it's only for a few different sort of like, because I live in a big sort of suburban area, but pockets are under HOA, and some streets are not at all. But
Look, a question that I've always
there are
wanted is,
pros and
can you, in terms of HOA, can you just opt out?
no, no.
See, this is the
It's like a
thing that
prerequisite.
this is the thing that yeah, this is the thing that frustrates me, is that you have you purchase a property, and then a governing body, a mini governing body of the streets, can then kind of dictate to you what you can or cannot do with that property, and that is a complete
Yeah, what?
mind meld for the British mentality,
Yeah.
which is his house is his castle, effectively, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, you're obviously pre-advised before you purchase the home, and they do have like annual sort of elections or whatever you want to call it, and we do get invited to attend, which is just down at the local council hall, and they do have changes, and the HOA is actually made up of residents as well,
Oh yeah,
so
they can
it
be
all
like mini
helps.
Hitlers and mini Karens, just all walking around ready to feel a little bit of power, isn't it? I mean, I've seen the horrific. I suppose I've seen the extremes of the HOA online. So I can
Yeah,
appreciate how brutal it can be in some cases.
yeah.
I'm not saying all HOAs are like this, but I'm just saying
No,
I've
no,
seen the
they're pretty good. They're pretty
extremes of what they
responsive.
can be like.
Yeah, and but they keep putting up the the price up every 6 months or so, which is a bit annoying. But to be
Well,
fair,
that's what I'm saying, is like you feel
it
like
has
it's like, oh, can we just
pros and
opt
cons.
out of it? But you can't. Actually, that does make me think. Is it a legal requirement then? Is it something that is?
Yeah, so like I guess when they built the houses on this vast sort of plot of land, it just came under the prerequisite of having a HOA, and I guess the people that were buying it and said, look, this I don't know how it got set up originally, but it's just strange because I can move 2 streets down and there's a whole parade of houses, or like almost like a little sort of micro district of streets
Mm.
which aren't under any kind of HOA, homeowners association, and it's just that where we are in a cul-de-sac, there is, and as I say, it does have its pros and cons, but so far the years I've lived here, I've never had a problem, and they're super responsive, and yeah, I mean, we did have a problem with a neighbor was building, and they kept having sort of builders coming in at 7 a.m. or something when they're not really supposed to to do anything before 8
No,
8
it's
a.m.
fair. You just let that neighbourly contract. It's like, come on, you do it within a time frame that
Yeah,
doesn't wake the entire neighbourhood up. So I can understand that. But to be honest with you,
yeah,
as you
just
well
little
know,
things like
in the
that. Yeah,
UK, it basically, you just go round to your neighbour and go, look, come on, don't be a pain. let's let's work together. And it's more of like an individual basis where I suppose the HOA in that sense is if that individual kind of feels like you can get a few more people around and go, stop being a git. To be fair, here in the UK, if you're pretty good on good terms with a lot of your neighbours, most of your neighbours will probably end up backing you up anyway. You know, so
I mean, yeah, I mean, look, I mean, we had we had two houses just across from us in the cul-de-sac, and one was a news anchor, actually, a famous news anchor, and she moved away at the end of it, but she got into a legal dispute with the neighbour, and it got quite, you know, publicised,
heated.
and that was like at least a $500,000 lawsuit between the two of them. Because over a land dispute. It's just, you know, well, not a land dispute. The neighbor wanted to build a wall, and she said, well, that wall was never there in the first place, and it's going to block my view, etc., etc., etc. But then, okay, maybe they could have resolved it, but then when you've got sort of like personalities that don't really coincide with cohabitat or coincide with one another, it just became a little bit sort of tit for tat. And then before you know it, if you don't really know how to deal with neighbors or with people, you would think you would, right, being a news anchor. It just got out of hand, and yeah, you don't really want to get embroiled in those sort of things, because California, if it's litigious, if anything.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is
So
California.
yeah, so the HOA in that regard can kind of help, because obviously, if the HOA is wrong on miscommunicating or causing a problem, then you can go around to the neighbour and say, look, you know, let's sort this out between us sensibly, because obviously HOA are getting
Provide
things,
a
even though they're
third
playing proxy.
party, supposedly a
Yeah,
neutral term, but you know, supposedly.
yeah, maybe not as intelligent as they seem. So why don't we sort it out, and then why don't we sue the HOA instead? I'm just kidding. So, but yeah, other than that, I've got nothing to complain about, really. All good.
It's always good. Stubsy.
And I finished Are You Doing Chronicles.
Nice.
Finally.
Yeah.
I keep sending you a message.
Yeah.
You keep
I'll have to
ignoring me.
get,
So I can only assume.
I'll have to get Chris back on.
No, it's
I will to come on the
I
show.
won't bore you. Yeah.
No, you can talk
I
about
won't bore
it.
you to tears. My Xbox. No. I meant like I just move about responding, because I've been busy, but it's not that. It's my Xbox is it's been, I think I mentioned it to Stubz, that it's been making strange sounds, and it doesn't. It's doing strange things, like turning itself off, and the noise is gone, but the quick resume feature just doesn't work for any game whatsoever.
Really?
At the moment, it's
That's
really weird.
Have you? It's one thing I try and do. Have you? I mean, have you dusted your console? Because I know, at least on mine, if I don't dust it every 3 or 4 months.
How do you dust it? Because you got to open.
God,
you got to open it. So how do you dust it?
No, I don't open it. Basically, I
No,
get
the
the
fan
hoover
gets
and
dusty.
I suck it from the top, and then I suck it from the bottom.
I don't think you can open it, actually, but
You
what
can get a
Removable
key.
just said,
Yeah, it's on the back.
there's a video online. I'll do videos in terms of the different approaches, like user hoover, user duster, user what are a gas can, you know, from 15 centimeters away. Did all the way, and that took the noise away. But the other issue, I think, is software based, and that's nothing I can do about that until perhaps an update comes out.
Are you on the what's it called? Oh, what's the one that gets it first? Alpha program. What's it called?
No, I don't do any of that sort of stuff.
Oh, I'm on that. That's normally anytime that has problems. It's normally because I'm in the alpha program, and it's like we're just getting the first few features first. And it's like it might have a bit of attention.
But I just quickly on Iden Chronicles, just to answer one of Removable's questions, which you asked me about a week ago, I think, or something about the 120. I got all the characters. I
120.
I didn't. Yeah, I got all the characters. I did all the mini games that everyone says that is really difficult and awkward, and I don't want to do them. I did all of them. So I got all the characters. I did all the mini games. I did the Colosseum challenge, which is like 26 floors. Each floor has like 3 challenges. I did all of that, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got like 60 or 70. I got close to 70% of all the what are they called, the achievements, etc. And I spent a lot of time with the game. Miss Stubz will tell you how long, because I don't know how to look that up. But to Removable, I was mentioning, I was complaining to Removable about quality of life features where you can walk a little bit quicker, the level designs, etc., etc. But it's a bit like any relationship or marriage, right? It doesn't come ready made; it comes in kit form, so you've got to work at it. But I think at the end of it, I thoroughly enjoyed my experience with it. There are rooms for improvement, but it's greater than the sum of its parts. I mean, I didn't know this at the time when I was speaking to Removable, but basically, when you're sort of evicted from your kingdom, you sort of come upon a whole piece of land on the world map, which is like just a previous kingdom reduced to rubble. And as you progress and as you recruit members, sort of recruited for combat, a lot of them are recruited to rebuild your kingdom. They're all specialists. The phase, I think goes through 4 phases of a rebuild, and there's lots and lots to do, lots of resources to gather, etc. But instead of, once you've conquered a certain area with certain types of resources, then you don't have to really visit there. What you can do, there's something called guild missions, where you choose your team members based on their abilities and carefully send them out, and every half an hour they'll go gather everything, and then you decide how to spend it when you get back after going out to a mission, and you rebuild the kingdom and you customize it as well. And everybody ends up going from 0 population to, I don't know, like a few hundred or a few thousand. I can't remember now, but it just has a lot of really cool features like that, which I haven't seen in other games.
Well,
and
I say for that sort of thing like that, the only one I know of where you can send out small little teams to gather 2 missions and gather resources was actually Monster Hunter World. Where
I don't think I've played it enough to do that.
Monster Hunter World is basically, you could send out your little pelicans, and they would do little missions for you, and they would then come out and just give you get you some resources which you can then utilize and come back and find. So there are some games that allow you to kind of send out teams. I'm trying to think, is it
it's actually, like so imagine like a city's been hit. Imagine a city's been hit with a bomb and it's been completely leveled, so everything's rubble. So you slowly rebuild the houses, then you can get to a certain point and give the whole kingdom a makeover, and so they have like better roofs and better building structures. It basically goes from a grey, desolate sort of nuclear hit, a greyish sort of rubbly kingdom, to looking really, I don't know, something
prestige,
like Princess Peach's castle. With gardens and everything. It's just really good done. But there's lots of other features like that. You go off and you hire a cook, and then you sort of come across, depending on the missions and locations and treasure chests and mini games, you get meaningful stuff you can take back to your kingdom to make use of it. So you give the chef all these sort of recipes, and then once the gatherers have got the ingredients, you can make all sorts of dishes, healing dishes, buffing dishes for
That's
combat.
Again, very similar to Monster Hunter World. You actually have palicos who do exactly that, and you actually have recipes which you utilize to buff yourself before capturing monsters. So it sounds very similar to Monster Hunter World. So if you're into the new Monster Hunter World, I suspect that those aspects will be something that you'll kind of get into, you'll kind of enjoy.
So time played, overall, BJ. So 6 days, sorry? 6 days, 17 hours, 26 minutes you've spent in the game. I don't know what that equates to. And I wanted to carry on playing it in hours. I don't know.
You can actually go into. I think it's under. I'm
actually looking. It just gives you it like that. Time played.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. It doesn't give you. It gives you the stats are played in days.
Yeah.
Rather than actual. But I'm just trying to think. Does the app give you it in minutes?
150 hours. It sounds like 160 hours.
Welcome to Indie Gamer and I will say the Daz. Welcome to UK Daz. Sorry, carry on. Sorry.
But no, I was just saying, as I was saying to Removal, I wasn't sort of convinced by it when I started it, but 160 hours later, I'm really glad I stuck with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I tell you what, Removable, it kind of I know you put a tweet out something about your kids play, and it is hard, but they learn to overcome challenges. So once I managed to recruit, once I managed to get dash boots, once I managed to get support characters that you can. So you have a main team that you set out like of 6, and then you can have support casts, and then the support team give you different abilities. So that you get someone that comes along and gives you double the speed movement. Once I got that in place, once I got the dash boots, once I managed to overcome all challenges and etc., it started to sort of the qualities of life features are kind of built into the structure of the game, where you have to acquire them. You're just not given them from straight off the bat. But I maxed out my main characters, well, majority of them really, and I maxed out everybody's weapon. I actually got an achievement for it, which I was surprised about. And really, really good game, greater than the sum of its parts. And I can see why people really like it, and I can also understand why people don't, or find it challenging or crazy, especially with some items that you need to get like have a 5% drop rate chance. But
again,
it
that's
does take
very
you back to some.
yeah. Again, I
But
keep
that, I
bringing
mean,
back
that's
this is very
Monster
similar
Hunter
to
again, right?
Sons of the World actually, because in terms of drop rates and very finite things to try and get to buff yourself to the point where you're really good. So yeah, I appreciate that. It's it sounds like, as I said, it sounds like it's,
I enjoyed it.
yeah, it sounds like it's very good. And for me, as I said, it's the tweeting question was actually about a retro handheld which I use for my
Yeah.
kids, which has no what's it called, accessible features, has no quality of life elements, and it just basically is an emulator of old retro games. And yeah, they've got on really well with him. They just really well. Obviously, it's like 1,500, 15,000 games to kind of mess around with. But it's the old school challenge, and it isn't until you're starting to replay some of those old school games that you realise there is a reason why they did a lot of the stuff they did, because it's there to teach you stuff. It's there to teach you, how to play the game better, and how to accept defeat, how to accept, problems and resolve it and move forward. Which I think sometimes quality of life features can take away from that, depending on context in an individual game. But yeah, they've had, they're learning the old school ways, the ways that we had to, of no saves, and so because I've got my brother and his children, and they're pretty much pay to play. They expect saves every 30 seconds. They expect things given to them. They expect an easier way of dealing with things, and also they're happy to pay for skins, which is just and that's his way of dealing with it. That's fine. It's not me.
I was just gonna say, like you said that, like sort of pay to win. It's like this, Iodine Chronicles and games like that. That sort of like when you do acquire a quality of life feature, you've earned it. You're gonna get an achievement for it, and it's gonna make your life easier. But it just increases the overall accomplishment. Sort of puts a finishing touch on your accomplishment, but also improves the experience of for that's to come in terms of the rest of the game.
Yeah, which is good. As I said, this because this is a little retro handheld and basically has all of the 15,000 emulators on a little SD card, and it's not connected to the internet. It gives me peace of mind that the games themselves aren't going to. The children are safer, if that makes sense. In terms of games, there's pretty much everything from anything from the Sega Genesis, Nintendo, Game Gear, all the way up to, I would say, PlayStation 2. So you got your Nintendo 64. It's a really good little handheld emulator system. Which you can actually take out the operating system and actually take out the games as well if you want to try and change the operating system. So it's a great little.
Have you had a go on it? Have you had a go?
Oh yeah, or I as a dad, I tested it out because I had to, and I also kind of upgraded their operating system so that it would have a much more smoother system, and also a bit easier for the kids to kind of play with, sort of thing. I also kind of put it into a kids mode so they won't delete stuff out accidentally, because my kids are very young. So yeah, it's a great little system. It's a R36S is what it's called, R36S handheld. And it's just a brilliant little toy that's robust enough for kids under 10, but it has enough to kind of let them play and enjoy it. So my son's playing Sonic 1, 2, 3, pinball. You know, he's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original Nintendo version. He's absolutely loving it, even though it can be a little bit challenging sometimes. You know, he's like, "Daddy, I need some help." And it's like, "Well, I'll show you a little bit." But most of the time, it's like, "Well, you've got to do it yourself. You've got to try and work it out yourself." And within the space of a couple of days, he's worked it out and he's done something. You know, and he's happy that he's progressing, sort of thing. And I've just noticed the difference between them and my niece and nephew, sort of thing, when they're like, "Oh, I can't get past this. I'll pay for Daddy. I need to pay for this so I can move forward." And I'm just like, "Oh, okay, that's one way of dealing with it, you know." But yeah, it's for me. It was just make sure that it's a handheld that's not online. It doesn't pay to win, and it does miss some ease of life, sort of accessibility options on it. But at the end of the day, it's teaching them the old school way, you know, persistence, hard work, and you know, practice will get you to the end. You know, the old-fashioned way of dealing with it. So yeah, no, it's been a brilliant little system, sort of thing. It's frustrating because I see it and I want to play with it, if I can't because it's theirs. You know, but if I can't. What struck me is that device. If I had that device, well, when I was young, it would have blown my mind. It's like 15,000 games from you know, multiple different platforms on one small device. You know, as I said, I remember the days where you buy one game and that would be your game for the whole year. That would be for birthdays, and then you have to wait for Christmas for another game. You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy, and all these games are just set on a 32 gigabyte SD card. I'm just like,
That's
Jesus
insane.
Christ.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. When I was going through it, it's absolutely mind-boggling of all these different games. You know, it's got your Mega Drive games on the SNES, your Game Gear, it's 3DX, 3DS, I think. You know, it's Game Boy games on there. You know, it's just a crazy sort of, you know, thing that you could have a small device that's, you know, that can hold so many games. And you know, games themselves now, like, you know, I think was it people now, like, you know, we're struggling to play all these brand new games that are coming out. It's just every month there's a ton of new games, you know, from the AAA, the AA to your indie games. The indie games, of course, they're even just pumping out even more. It's hard to kind of keep up with it. We're in, you know, a gaming renaissance, really, with all these games coming out.
It's true. There's loads, especially with the indie game side. There's stacks of games. There really is. It's you shouldn't complain about Game Pass and stuff, but there's too many bloody games to play. There is. It's good though. It's good though. But sometimes I have a problem with, I download loads of games and I don't play them. They're just sat there.
Yeah, I've a mate of mine, and he's what I classify as a Steam whore. He buys every time there's a Humble sale. He buys at least one or two Humble deals, and he showed me his Steam collection, and it's in the thousands. And it's like he's bought games that there's thousands of games he's just not touched. And I keep asking him, so what games do you play? And he'll list off the same 6 or 7 games that he's been playing since 1990. You know, he's got huge amounts of different games. but he doesn't touch them. He's still playing the same games that he was playing in 1990 with maybe the odd AAA game here or there. And I'm just like, why do you keep buying them? He's like, oh, at any point I can go to them. He's like, but do you? He's like, not really. It's like, Jesus Christ, his Steam library is huge. And I'm just like,
asking, are you talking about him?
No, it's not Daz. But is Daz outing himself of having a huge Steam library that he's not touching?
To be fair, most PC gamers that got Steam do have big libraries due to the incredibly stupid offers they offer on Steam. Sometimes they're like £2 a game or £3. And like,
yeah,
I'll have that.
The humble deals are amazing.
Humble deals are good, but also
value.
the Steam sales are very good as well.
Exactly. And it's the old phrase. It's my backlog, and it's like, Jesus, some people's backlogs are just. And this is the thing that I feel guilty because even on the Xbox system, I do have at least about probably it was doing free games for gold. I think I've got about a good 30 games that I haven't touched there on there that I got for games for gold that I haven't played yet. And yes, a lot of them are actually kids games. Like it's some Sonic games on there. It's some little some of those games. But I'm going to let the kids play them when they get up there, sort of thing. But yeah, I've just got. I feel guilty ever buying a brand new game because it's like I've got so much backlog. Which is even worse because I bought 2 new games last weekend as well. So,
are you either of you playing anything at the moment?
Well, yeah, I am now, yeah, because I did the stupid thing and bought 2.
Welcome to Wolf of Darkness. Welcome to Back from the Dead. UK Dazzus Indie Gamer. Just thought I'd do some shout outs.
And Luke Steele.
And Luke Steele.
You were about to leave me out, weren't you? That's it. Yeah, we're never getting back on now because you're just trying to leave me out. I don't know. It's currently I got obviously there was a Steam deal on, but the Xbox does do some deals as well. And for me, I bought 2 games on sale. One was RoboCop.
There we go. I've actually got a trailer. I've got one trailer for the show. There you go. There's RoboCop. Yeah,
it hasn't turned up. It will. Yeah, RoboCop, Rogue City, which I'm really enjoying. They've really hit the 1980s ethos in terms of the films and sort of stuff like that. They have really hit that out of the park. In fact, playing the game wants to make you watch the films again. That's how kind of really well they've done, sort of thing. And I hadn't played it before, and I saw people raving about it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll try and get it." But yeah, been playing that. That's been absolutely brilliant. It's a fantastic game. It really hits. They know what they're doing. They've hit the nostalgia perfectly, and it's also it's voiced by I can't think of his name, but the actual guy who actually plays RoboCop in the 3 films, not the new film, in the old school films, is actually voicing this as well, which is brilliant in terms of that. It just hits so well. And another one I have been playing is a remaster by Night Dive Studios, and that's Shadow Man. And that is superb. They've just done a perfect. Well, as you know, I've always sounded off on Night Dive. They just do quality remasters. Yes, get the terminology right. Remasters. They just they stick to the gore cane. They don't add anything. They don't tweak it. And they just bring it to life and bring also forgotten stuff. It's just they know what they're dealing with. Night Dive. I really am. If there isn't really a game from Night Dive that hasn't been remastered perfectly for me, I think they're top of their tier in terms of doing perfect remasters. So for me, these are the 2 I've kind of been recently backwards and forwards on, just to kind of give myself a little bit of a mental break. But that's just me. What about you, Stubz or VJ? Peter Weller, yes, thank you,
Go ahead.
Indy. Peter Weller, yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Stubz.
Okay, yeah, I've been playing. Well, I tried. What's it called? I tried Overwatch 2. It's quite a fun shooter. It's got like a cartoon style, like animation game, and it's I'm not too bad at it actually. It's can get quite a few kills on it. I'm not used to playing them kind of shooters anymore, but it's quite a fun game. It's a free to play game. Anyone could try it. That's quite good. But I've also been playing another game that's interesting. It's in Game Pass. It's called Still Wakes the Deep. It's very.
This is the one that's on a oil rig.
Yes, it is.
And
oil
it's
rig.
Scottish. All the characters are from Scotland.
Oh, it's great. The language, VJ, and the voice acting is incredible. They love swear words, obviously, but it's good. It's quite. I don't know what kind of game it is, but it's got a scary vibe to it. It's quite scary. I think.
It's not a survival horror. I think it's like horror. It's a horror.
I don't usually play horror games, but there's something that's scary and you got to get away from.
Yeah, I think like they touted it as that it's like
I'm no good at describing it.
An oil rig. Yeah, the thing meets an oil rig.
And you've got to work out how to get round the ship to save certain people. I'm not very far in, but it is a very.
You've done a tutorial.
Yeah, it is good. There we go. Thank you, Indie Gamer. Psychological horror thriller. There we go. That's probably what it's called then. I don't normally play these games, you see, but it interested me over the years, seeing a year or two on various different shows, seeing Still Wakes the Deep, and I thought I'd play it because it's on Game Pass. There's really no excuse to not try it, but I'm enjoying it. Probably taking me longer than the average people in this chat, but I'm enjoying it. I need to play it more. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. In a minute, hopefully by next week. Well, no, I've gone on holiday, so I probably won't get it finished by next week. But who knows? I might finish. I may finish a game. I may finish a game this year. You never know. I might finish one. Who knows? Oh, now Luke's saying it's a horror. It's not a survival horror. It's in the classic meaning of the game, as the gameplay is much more basic than that. Well, there you go. That's why I'm doing all right, Luke. It's a bit basic. There we go. I'm doing better than normal. I am. So that's probably why. It's a bit basic. Love the last part. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I am. It's. I'm not a fan of heights though, but some of the heights you look down at in that game, bloody hell! It's only a game, but it's high. It's definitely. But if you got Game Pass or Steam, if you want to try it, in Game Pass, it's obviously included in your subscription. And as Back from the Dead said, I have downloaded First Descent because everyone's talking about it, but I've not yet played it. If you don't finish Still Wakes the Deep when it's about 5 hours, then there's something wrong, Stubz. Luke Steele says.
But in fairness to Stubz, a 5-hour game for Luke is probably a 50-hour game for Stubz.
Yeah, it's probably right.
He's the sort of guy, he'll walk into a room and then basically spend an hour going through the drawers just to see what he can like. He'll look at it. He'll spend 20 minutes looking at a poster. Just going,
well,
this looks
I need
pretty.
some lore to see if any Gears of War hints in there, you see. Got to see. They might be hiding them in different games. No, I'm only kidding. But I also bought something on sale. A long time ago, I bought Division 2. This was obviously on Xbox One, and they were selling an upgrade for an upgrade, the Ultimate Edition of Division 4 as an upgrade on Xbox game, wherever Xbox Live or Game Pass or whatever, because you get deals, don't you? And it was £4 to get the upgrade, so I've spent the £4. I've now got the DLC and everything. So I might fire that up and have a go. £4, I thought. Wow, I've seen it on sale a lot of times, but I've never seen it that cheap. So I thought I'll give it another go.
Speaking of on sale, this is the thing that got me. This is how one of the reasons why I bought Shadow Man and Robocop was that if you go on Xbox, you can actually pin or wish list games, and if you wish list them, put them in your list, they will get a notification when they're on sale. You'll actually get it will send you a notification through your emails.
So that's what Steam does then. And it works. Yeah. That's all right.
So I knew that these two games were on sale because I just completely forgot about it. I've got like in my wish list on Xbox quite a few indie games, quite a few other games, and sometimes I drop games in there just to kind of remind me that at some point I need to play. It's one of the games that me and VJ often talked about. What's the Japanese one that we always I keep telling you that's actually got a deal on? VJ?
Sorry, hold on. Dreadpool. Sorry, mate. I did see you in chat. Just remembered. Welcome. Thanks for popping in. I really appreciate it. Sorry, carry on. I forgot to shout out Dreadpool. What sacrilege that is. One of the second top people to do the longest Stubz cast. It is,
but it's again it's like most Steam features. It's a nice little feature that's on Xbox, but it's just one of those things that I use more for not for wish listing, but for more information purposes. So for me, I kind of use it for keeping up to date on deals rather than say purchasing or if there's something that's updated. I use it as more of a kind of reference for other people. I mean, how many times have I said to you, look, Judgment's on sale, which is it's a standard feature on Steam, but it's one of the things that I kind of just use as like a background information tool. And it's the same thing, where they kind of recommend all the DLCs, stuff and add-ons, stuff like that as well. I kind of like, I put these things aside with the hope that at some point I'll have enough money to purchase them, and if I ever do, it's there. But yeah, no, it's for me. It also helps me with a lot of the indie games in terms of basically, just keeping an eye on when they're on sale, just if they're further down the line, I want to try and support a whole load of games in one bulk. It's pretty good for doing stuff like that. But generally, it's a nice little touch. It's on Steve's been doing it for years, but I'd recommend you try and do that if you're into like sales and stuff like that. Otherwise, you'll go through all the blooming that crappy box that here's the developers, Capcom deals, 75% Capcom deals, and you have to go through a bloody list to go.
You do. I have actually, what's it called? I have pressed wishlist before on Xbox, but I've never noticed much come up. But saying that, I don't actually read my emails from the email address for my Xbox account that often. So,
well, you can set it on the X. Have you got the Xbox app?
Yeah, I got that.
Because you can set notifications on your Xbox app, so it can give you a boink on the Xbox app rather than say emails.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Can't even wish this Silk Song. That's terrible, Indie. How dare they? You should be able to wish list Silk Song.
That's because it's not coming to Xbox.
Well, it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be out about 2 years ago, according to Xbox.
That won't come out until it's ready. You know this.
Well, yeah, that's what indie developers do, obviously. But yeah, I'll just mention what the sign in the corner is. We've got a bit of a partnership with GamerHub. It's nothing. I'm not part of GamerHub. It's just they're looking to expand their community. It's quite a good website for reading reviews and news recently. They're trying to expand, and Lewis, that's been on before, I can't remember if he's been on this show or my other shows. He's like acting CEO of GamerHub, and he asked me to be part. I'm not actually part of GamerHub. It's like a partnership thing where I just put a link in the bio and like a brand thing. It's just to help expand, and then like he's going to put my podcasts and stuff on the actual website. He's going to they're building out a page and stuff, but everything's going to remain the same. All the content's in the same places as it always was. It's just like an embedded YouTube feed or whatever on the website and things like that. And it's just a good thing to try.
They're
just
not going to steal our cookies, then, is basically what you're telling us.
No.
We are keeping our cookies.
You're keeping your cookies. But yeah, not a great explanation, but that's basically what it is. That's all it is. And Lewis might be popping on sometime after 10, maybe. He's got access to the chat room, minutes, so he might drop in. He might. No promises, but he might. But what do you lot think to this trailer here? This game Flintlock coming out soon. Flintlock. It's getting closer to release. It is. This game. It's coming straight to game. It's coming straight to Game Pass, isn't it?
The question is going to be. I'm a little confused with it, and again, it's probably because my IQ. But I'm just kind of thinking: is this just like a semi-open world RPG, or is this a horde, like a horde world RPG? Where they it's in area zones and that's it. Because I can't tell if it's one of those
Oh no, it just looks cool. I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah. It just looks good.
It's intriguing.
I'll have a look at what it says on the. What's it called?
He's looking for it now.
Flintlock. That's it. Flintlock. So you want to know the genre?
Oh, what they classify it as,
I've got to put a Flintlock game. There we go. Coming up with guns, it was. Right.
Well, it is a third-person shooter by the look. Was it third-person shooter? Third-person action RPG or?
Okay, Luke's got a better. That was quicker. He's played it. It's like a linear Souls-like game.
Linear Souls-like game.
That's what it says. But on the Steam page, it doesn't actually say what the from Games Studio A44, makers of Ashen, comes an explosive. Yeah, it does. It comes an explosive Souls-like, like Luke said, where gods and guns collide in a battle for the future of humanity. Well, it's in Game Pass, isn't it? You can try it if you want. Will you be trying it, VJ?
I've kind of got it downloaded, but there's a game that's coming out in close proximity from Capcom, Path of the Goddess. So I was kind of torn between the two because I'm probably going to try one and play it. But
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, the Kunitsu game or something. I can't remember, but it's out on the 21st.
Oh, so sorry. Yes, I've been playing the demo of that. That's actually. Have you played the demo of that?
I haven't. I was going to wait until the actual game because it's not that far away. So I'm playing Octopath Traveler 2 at the moment. And then I was going to.
So Kunitsu.
Go to the.
So Kunitsu is some. Now this is where it's a bit weird because the trailer doesn't explain what it is, and it's not what you think it is. So this is where I was having a chat with Masuku, and he played it, and he was like, this is not really my sort of thing. And he felt kind of a little bit, and obviously Masuku says, but it's not what it. The way the trailer comes looks, it looks like it's like a third-person action game. It is more akin to a third-person action tower defense game. That I know that's a bit of a weird combination. The closest thing I could get to it is actually say it's probably similar to the battles in Brutal Legend, where you set up basically you'll get some characters, you set them in different positions, and then you'll have a couple of waves attacking you with your characters, defending your particular goddess, which is what you've got, and then you yourself can move around the battlefield and attack these monsters as they come through. Now, the strategy behind it is that you choose prior to these battles what type of characters you want, where to place them, and you can change and move them actually in game and in battle as well. But it's a very much a more tactical sort of tower defense game in that regards, and I really enjoyed that sort of thing. I like Brutal Legend, so I kind of got on rather well with that. But the trailer doesn't state that. It really doesn't tell
Mislead-
you that. I'm trying to say it's not
or
misleading, but it kind of is slightly
Well,
misleading.
perhaps, well, yeah. I mean, a polite would be say that it's easy to misinterpret. Well, misinterpret what they're trying to flog you. So
Yeah,
but I'll give it a go.
To be honest with you, I could see I could see what they're trying to do. And for me, it didn't click properly within the first 10 minutes. But as I got further through actually, I've completed the demo now. As I got through the demo, unlocked a lot more of the characters, unlocked more of their skill trees and perks, and then moved things around. The fact I can draw characters in or move them. That was actually I kind of enjoyed that. It's a very lightish sort of tactical experience. It's a genre that I think a lot of people will be like Marmite. They'll either like it or they don't like it. But what got me was the fact the trailer doesn't mash up with that at all. It just doesn't mash up with it. And so I think they haven't done themselves favors here. So when the demo's out, I think a lot of people are like, nope, this isn't click with me. Where if I think they'd been a little bit more honest with the trailer, people might like it a little bit more. For me, I kind of like the tactical aspect. I kind of like the tower defense a little bit. One of the things I kind of enjoyed was that I could switch out characters and choose like a bow and arrow for a heavy hitter to someone who's a magician, effectively, who slows down, puts out a barrier and slow down things. What they've shown to me already clearly is early game. My biggest worry is the features they've shown all that there is, or does it evolve into something much more complex and much more engaging throughout the big game? Because if it's just those parameters or just that small number of characters, and then they just tweak the levels to slightly give you a different experience, that could get repetitious pretty quickly. If, however, they kind of build upon that, they make things much more complicated, they tweak things, they give in different enemies, different types, and really kind of throw everything at you, then I can understand it being a bit more of a challenge and more of an experience. So I'm 50-50 with it in my head. I was probably one of the guys who actually kind of enjoyed it, but I'm still hesitant about it in some regards. So my gut for you, my gut feeling for you, VJ, is probably try the demo. But
Yeah.
For me, I think what I'm going to try and say to you is try the demo. But then again, I suppose try the demo with the same mindset as you had with the Prince of Persia demo. Where you play the Prince of Persia demo and then you play the game, is like, that's that's not what it is. I'm just wondering if maybe Kuditsu is the exact same thing, where the demo doesn't really give you the biggest best sell.
It's not that far. Yeah, if it was like 2 or 3 months out and I was thinking about buying it, then I'd probably pay the demo. But because it's like just
On
around
Game
the
Pass.
corner and anything Game Pass, then I think I'd And the reason why I didn't play the demo is like I thought, well, what if I play through the demo and I can't carry it over? And I didn't really want to look into it. And I thought, but why not just take? I don't know much about it, so just take it in my stride, play it completely fresh, completely going
Yeah.
blind, and see what it's all about.
And maybe that's probably the better option to it. I think I think to be honest with you, the demo may have put some people off.
Yeah, because the Prince of
And
Persia didn't really endear itself to me, especially the
no,
demo. I had to
I
play it through
didn't. I
twice.
played it and it didn't click me. It didn't click with me. It's like it's all right. It's a nice demo, but that's it. So yeah, I can understand where again. I think we both said numerous times demos are a bit like trailers. You have to have someone who's really good at creating a good trailer or good demo to sell your product. And if you don't do it properly, it can kind of break interest for your product as well as it add interest to it. It's a skillful art. I think more people should if we did more demos, more people would probably be more skillful in it. I'm an advocate for more demos. I want more demos for games. I think we shouldn't lose demos. I really would want to see more demos. I know Indie would cry out for a Silk Song demo.
It's probably already out.
Oh yeah, well he's probably got the first beta test version. He's keeping it quiet from everybody, to be honest.
That's right.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely a demo person. I like demos. I think we should keep them. Yeah, definitely something I want to see more of. Yeah, exactly. Yes. You already said, Indie. Steam has hundreds of demos. I just think it should be, demos should be on all platforms. More demos for all games on more platforms. I don't understand why. This is a thing, which is also a confusing thing for me. I've seen demos on Steam for games that are on other platforms, but you won't see the demo carried across. Now,
I saw
for the
problem
indies, I can understand that
with
maybe that's a cost implementation and another resource which they can't do. But for your bigger games, that does kind of is a bit strange to me. Unless, of course, VJ, you can give me some information on this.
it's just like if you're up against getting your game out and producing a demo, it's got to go through. Even though it's a demo, it's got to go through certification. It's got to go through QA. It's got to go through bug fixing. And even if you're a big studio, you can't just put guys on it. And you're kind of depending on how pushed you are to get your game out. A demo might not be feasible at launch, but then again, if your development's going well and you've actually planned your project well and you've planned for a demo, it's
Well,
possible.
it's
But
not that.
it's
It's
from
just that.
game.
Well, they'll have a demo on Steam, but that doesn't translate to other platforms. That's the issue I'm finding.
Yeah, and on
So
Steam, I
you'll
think
have
there's
obviously Steam's a lot easier. Steam's a much more
yeah.
simpler process, I suspect. As Indy's saying, consoles do make things hard for devs, and this is true. As Indy and I have seen, if you
Well,
speak to any
uh,
indie developer, they do kind of.
well, Half Moon. Was it Half Moon? Is it Half Moon? Was it Moon Studios that came out with no Rest
Yep.
for the Wicked? And people asked, and they I think they kind of said the similar thing, as in, look, on Steam, we can have the demo done, checked internally, and
Yep.
then on Saturday and release it on Monday. But for console, it's just way more difficult in terms of time, resource. Then once you've sent your build into Sony and Microsoft, you've got to wait 10 days. So what do the team do for 10 days waiting, that specific core? They
There
can't really put
is.
them on another task. There is a cost to it and there's a
Yep.
resource management to it. And if it comes back with a load of bugs, and then you've got to fix those, because you can't necessarily. Basically, there's like a tier of bugs, and some they can waive, and
Yep.
then there's some you have to sign a disclaimer, and there's others which are must fix, and you can't negotiate. So it's just one of those things, and
I
you've got
can.
to
Yeah.
sort of.
There is also, from what I'm hearing, how's the best way to place this? From what I've heard from the numerous devs that talk about putting their games onto console, there is a lot of tick boxes they have to achieve, which they don't have to always go through on Steam. Microsoft, I've asked numerous devs, both Microsoft and PlayStation have a lot of tick boxes. Microsoft seems to be more, from what I'm guessing with. There's particular elements
It's
you have to hit,
yeah,
otherwise they will be just say no. They're just not interested.
it's not it's yeah, and the other thing I would say to you, it's that perhaps they don't really reveal to you is when you submit your demo, you see, because you have to actually, you don't just get your get your game ready and send it in. You have to actually book a slot. And
Mm,
there's times of the year during the summer period when QA at Microsoft and Sony is jammed. And sometimes you're waiting 7 days, you've got your demo ready, you've tested it, you're about to submit it, but it can't be QA'd for 7 days. That's when it'll start. And then it's 10 days. So it's like 3 weeks sometimes. And when it's congested and there's a lot of publishers submitting
yeah,
all sorts of
exactly.
content, see, you
Well,
might be in a
this
queue. And yeah,
well,
and
this is what
again,
this
it
is what
goes down to
confused me
cost.
a little bit, because I can appreciate your argument there, VJ, but if you look at, say, I can't obviously speak about PlayStation, but at least for Xbox, the amount of demos on Xbox is probably around your 20-30 mark. Maybe 50 if you really include some early builds. It's not a lot of demos. So I could
No,
appreciate
yeah,
that
but
if
it's
that was coming through, but
yeah, when it's submitted as a demo, it's still pretty much treated as a full price game. It's got to go through the exact
oh,
same process as a full price game.
right,
So,
okay,
so if this, say it's like Capcom, EA, I mean, okay, let's just look at the slate for Q4. It's getting pretty busy, and so is Q1. So
yep,
you've got to look at it like also well, I suppose now it's everything's getting more digital production timelines as well. So you've got a lot of publishers trying to get their games out, and I guess that's probably why Dragon, is it the Veilguard? Forgive me if I've got that wrong. It probably hasn't got a slot just right now because they're trying to make sure that the game is ready and they get it out. If not, it will slip, and that's probably why I haven't given it a release date. And so everything, whether it's a brand new release, it's DLC, or if it's a demo, has to go through exact same process basically. And if there's a ton of games coming out, which I'm assuming there is, right, across the board on console, it's just treated like everything else and like first come first serve basically in the
right,
queue.
okay,
And obviously at peak parts of the year, okay, like for example, if you're releasing in June, July, then there's obviously it would have been a good time to release demos because there's nothing really going on, and you know you can speed things up. But just like if it's peak time, you know, like
Your
rush hour
August,
basically.
September, oh yeah,
Yeah.
November, December, you know the actual kind of, yeah. Okay, that makes
July,
a little
end
bit
of
more
July,
sense.
August, end of July, August, up
Hmm.
until March, I would say it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I mean, I would just prefer I would just like to see more demos in general on console. It just, to me, it's a nice uh
Yeah,
it's not just nostalgia. It really, it for me, it kind of makes me more interested in the game. One of the ones I've seen, which is actually on Steam at the moment, but they did do a demo for it, was Death Trap, not Death Trap. Sorry, I can't particularly remember. It's actually a Steam game. It's coming into console within the next year or two, and it's made. I then look at that developer, and then I start searching for what other games they've done based on the demo alone, if I like it as well. And I think a lot of gamers do that, where maybe they're not, they're maybe not tied into social media as much, not as tied into, other ecosystems like PC as much. I think sometimes the demos will it will open up, what's it called? Open them up to other things, which you probably wouldn't get from just straightforward game sort of thing. So
yeah.
it's Death Trash, I think it was
I
Death Trash.
mean, just on the demo thing, I don't know if this is still true now, but do you remember there was when Sony said that, look, if you're releasing games like post, I think it was July 2020 or 2021, that games releasing on PS5 must have a demo, or certain level of game must have a demo within a year of the game's release at launch or
Mm.
within a year of release. That kind of that kind of tells you that leeway, giving that leeway to developers kind of gives you a timeline now, or not how, in terms of, you know, the complexity, time, resource, and management of getting a demo done and out. So, so I think if you do get a demo like Prince of Persia and the Kinnitsu
Mm.
Princess or Path of the Goddess, having a demo just prior to launch is uh, i- is a pretty mean feat to accomplish.
Yeah, it's as I said, another thing I think which you said was it's getting a demo that sells itself well is a hard task in itself. So it's just one of
Like
those things I
that
can't.
needs.
Do you know what it is? I think it's my nostalgia kicking in because I remember the days, and it shows how old I am. I remember the days when you'd have demos on CDs, demos on
Yeah.
discs, demos on floppy disks, demos on cassettes. Yes, for you who are young, you will not know what a cassette is. Have a Google, look it up. It will probably make you cry. But those things, I would see those things in a magazine, in a and they
You
those
mean
were the selling
sellotape
points.
to the front, sellotape to the front of the magazine, and if it was missing, you'd go to the news agent and say, "Oh, where's my cassette?"
Yeah, because someone's gone through, they've someone's gone through and nicked all the cassettes off the magazine. You go and go, yeah, that's gone. Yeah, I trust me. I had my Crash magazine with my the cassette on there, and it was you'd have 6 games on it. Those were games then. Those were full games, not demos. Back in those days, when they were doing the old ZX Spectrum. Yeah, it was. It was. I just kind. I don't know. It's just a kind of a thing. I just kind of. I enjoy demos. It's as an ethos, as a system. I really do enjoy demos. I just wish more platforms provided them. I know
You know,
Steam is the king of demos,
you,
but I just wish it for bigger platforms.
you know, like during the 90s, you know, publishers like what they would do, they would record videos of the games that are in development
Hmm.
and send them into, I think, platform holders, and they would create VHS tapes and send them
That's
around to
Yep.
all the distributors and big retail chains, so that not for public viewing, obviously, but saying, "Oh, look, here's a list of, you know, forthcoming games in VHS form," and
Well, they would do
so every
trailers.
publisher,
Yeah, I remember
yeah,
having
yeah, trailers,
they'd open it up on your disc, and you'd see 12 trailers on there of new upgraded games. That would
yeah,
be like,
and that so, but basically they were for their it wasn't a time where, you know, you're a distributor, for example, and you're a distributor for like 7 or 8 different publishers
mm,
in Hong Kong. I was at the time. I'd get a video cassette. I'd go see the Sega representative in Hong Kong, and they'd give me a VHS tape, and it would have like stuff like, you know, Sonic and Streets of Rage and this, that, and the other on it. Games I haven't seen before, and some really obscure Japanese games which were all completely in Japanese, not going to be localized. But obviously, you know, people in Hong Kong and can read Japanese
yep,
language, you know, because the characters are quite similar. So, you know, those games like Nobunga's Mission and some of the Final Fantasy stuff, you know, before it would get localized for international versions of Final Fantasy, etc., that on SNES and stuff. Those would be, or N64, they'd be on the cassette, and you know, for Sega, for the Sega system or other systems or whatever. And yeah, that's how they used to do it. And that, you know, that cassette you'd have to like put in a safe place afterwards, or return it, you know, within 7 days, so that they could then send it on to, after distributors then send it onto retailers, right? That would get that order direct. So but those were the good old days, I would say. Yeah, getting your, it's like a bit like Mission Impossible, right? Here's your information on us, and then this
yeah.
message was self-destruct
It.
in 5 seconds. But yeah,
I remember some of the demos I played, and for me, the one that got me the most was Legacy of Kain, and it was the demo
oh
for
yes,
that game, and it had Saint Christos as the music. They did a trailer for it in the CD, but they also then let you play the game. I don't know, like an extra. I don't, it was just like one part of the level, and the amount of times I replayed that demo, it was just like this game. I'm gonna get this game, no matter what. And I played the demo to death. You know, it was starting to, stutter by the time I was putting it in, for like the 500th time. And it's just, it was a great reminder of like the anticipation of games, and I think that's slightly lost today. And
No, I, I, I was just going to say, it reminded me of a time when I used to visit Japan quite frequently, and at the time when Akihabara just was littered with video game shops, like a mile basically left and right of this main road, just littered with video game shops. Every time a new game come out, like obviously you have like in the E3 show, you'd like, sort of be privy to playing a game demo for public viewing, right? Like on a pod, those would be littered right across all of the shops, pretty much every other shop, right, in Akihabara, and they would have demos, right? Anything from Nintendo Game Boy to the Sega Genesis to the
Yep.
Saturn. It was just off of your point about sort of building up the anticipation for a game by playing a demo, and there'd be not masses, but because there were so many pods inside and outside the stores, people will play those demos, and then obviously that in turn would turn itself potentially into a sale. So then they go into the store, pay the deposit, and
Yeah.
make a pre-order.
Well, this is the
And
thing.
that's
I
pretty
think
much
that
how.
whilst I understand the brilliance of digital, it kind of feels like one of the, as you rightly pointed out, people would go to stores or to gaming shops, and they would see play these demos, and it would be an experience. You could make a friend by simply playing a game demo, outside in the real world, and in a
Bare knuckle
way,
Streets of Rage.
you've
That
kind
was
of
a
lost
super
that
popular
now.
one.
It's like, yeah, and I'm just kind of thinking, it's like, could it be brought back in some format? Could those days just try and get people to kind of go out and meet each other over a gaming system again, in a shop? It's kind of,
I, I,
if it continued where you said, right, okay, we've got some demos, but you can only play it in some of these game shops. I'm kind of wondering if people would go out and go, yeah, okay, I'll go out and play them. What would you say if Capcom said Dino Crisis remake, it can only be played in game, the demo can only be played in game? Do you think I think people would probably
I,
flock to that
I
store.
don't know. People might think, yeah, great, or Alien or whatever, but it just reminded me of when Sony released. I tell you, two of the demos that people went crazy for. One was when I was walking up street and Panzer Dragoon was on the Saturn on demo, and I remember when the
Yep.
PlayStation 1 was released, and Sony obviously were going up against it, right? They were just coming out of the gate, and what they
Was that the
did,
Bruce Willis
they
game?
had a
Yeah,
head
Bruce
off.
game.
I beg your pardon.
Like you said, PlayStation 1. That was was it the Bruce Willis? Because the Bruce Willis game, I can't think what it's called. It's
No,
Apocalypse
it
game.
wasn't. I don't think it might have been not Die Hard. No, it was like when they first launched the system in Japan with Ridge Racer, and then
Oh,
MotorTune GP was MotorTune GP was coming, Tekken was coming, and what they did is that their head corporation offices, which I think might have been in the financial district at the time, what they did, they convert like so that you enter into a building, obviously huge, right, skyscraper. So what they did, they convert a big portion of it into a demo section where even on a Saturday or a Sunday, where obviously the upper floors are all closed off, right? But the lower floors where the building would be closed, it was open to the public to walk through, and they could go in and see the TVs. But they had the demo section, and people caught onto it obviously eventually. But you could go in, and there was PlayStation set up, no supervision or anything, and all the demos for the games that had been released and upcoming games were there, right? So it was just the power of everything that they tried to do to get people to sort of acknowledge the launch of the PlayStation, shall we say, alongside the games that they had released that were going to go up against and compete with Virtua Fighter, etc., etc.
yeah. To be honest, you've kind of just reminded me. It's like, what they used to do, and it was again, and I'm wondering if this is like this is an impact because of digital media. Is that They used to do that at big gaming events as well. You would have demo exclusives at your EGX, at your these game events where you could only play it at these events. And because now they've kind of said, oh no, you can play it anywhere, we've lost that kind of
Well,
that
I tell you what,
push to
you know the recent Summerfest show, right, where
Mm,
Jeff Keighley came out, right, and showed all these games, and then a few days later, I realized that the press and the media, the chosen few, or many, shall we say, were allowed to play demos of those games behind closed doors, and I'm just thinking, imagine if that, if you want to take it back to the good old days, imagine if that was opened up to allow,
well, it
consumers
would be.
to be
Yeah,
able
it'd
to
be open to
play
an event,
demos.
and that event
Because
would
there's so many people have
make
gone there.
in millions.
That that
Yeah,
that arena is not small. That theatre is not small, right? The YouTube
yeah,
theatre houses loads of people, and they've all gone there, watched paid their money, done the show, and there's not a section for them to try out some of these games, even if it's for 5 minutes at a time, right? I mean, you just get
yeah.
to get a quick
But,
feel. But I know what you're saying. I'd
but it's
appreciate.
just in my head, it's kind of like you're taking money off the table for yourself. If you create an event where you can only play certain demos at this event, you're going to get merchandise, you're going to get people interested, you're going to make the event profitable, you're going to make it's going to start to build up and build up, and you're going to get that perpetuation feel that only at these events you can play brand new demos. Well, if you kind of remove that and just filter it across to everybody digitally, surely that's a big chunk of cash. Okay, I know there's some investment in it, but it's a big chunk of cash that doesn't no longer exist. If you don't support these
And it
events,
doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if a game crashes or dies on you. It's a demo and it's on site,
yeah,
and you expect those things. You don't have to download it. May not actually even have to go through um, Sony or Microsoft QA or TRCs. It's just running on a PC or whatever, and frame rate might be a bit iffy, but you get to experience,
exactly,
and you
and
can
also
forgive its shortcomings. Unlike judging the game on, I've downloaded a digital demo, or I'm a bit skeptical about this, or lose a sale, or the demo wasn't actually prepared very well. Consumers would be I'd be far more forgiving of just being able to access it,
well,
but
this is one
paying
of the
$100 to see the event, then be able to go behind the scenes and play the game,
it's one of the reasons
or
why
even
I
watch
think.
somebody else playing it, right?
Yeah, well, I agree. It's and this is the thing that I think that some of these events, they're almost as if they're kind of purposely making it a problem for themselves. So if you look, for instance, at WASD, which was previously taken above from EGX Res, one of the reasons WASD works so well is that you get to play demos and first builds of games you would not normally see if if you don't own all platforms. So for people who say have, like for instance, I play a lot of PC games demos at WASD, even though I don't own a PC, and I'll be touting about it. I'll be shouting out about it. And then I ask them, it's like, well, this comes to this other platform. And it's like, oh, maybe if we do really well, but I get to see those things earlier on, and it's one of the reasons why those events still attract people. And I just think in some cases it's because, the reason why those attract people, why those events still go on, is that it's been supported. If you don't support the events with something exclusive to a degree, and I think some of the demos could be classified as exclusive, you can make them timed, then you're going to lose those events out. It's one of those things where I think, for it to be commercially viable, you have to put effort in. And without it being commercially viable, it will never be commercially viable if you don't put a lot of effort into it. And the trouble is
You know when
that
you
those events fed into so many different. It was like the way I described it is like a coin into a river. That it's a ripple effect. If you can make that event worth something, it will have a knock-on effect across the industry. It will support so many other different things. It will support locally. It will support, it'll support so many other different genres besides just that one thing. It's almost like a short-sightedness. It's like, you'll support the local economy, you'll support the food industry, you'll support the entertainment industry, you'll support the the PR industry, you'll support the mentoring industry, all from one event. But if you don't put an effort into that event, if you don't see beyond that instant, what's it called, sale or gratification, then you're never going to know about what else it affects. And I think sometimes it feels like a bit of a short-sightedness. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know how you feel, VJ.
No, I think it. Look, I mean, I can't really talk to the industry today. I don't know the finances, the numbers, and the amount of content. But I guess you went to that event with Indie recently, right? And I guess that harks back to something of what we're talking about in terms of reminiscing or the nostalgia in terms of game demos out in stores. And I mean, I was in Japan, Hong Kong at the time, and you just couldn't move for video games and manga and anime and dramas and well, you name it, right? And American TV shows and movies coming in, etc., and making their mark. And it was a great time if you like. I mean, even in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was an event, right, to go to Game or whatever in the UK or your independent retail chain of. It's all slowly disappearing. It's not.
Well,
I'm not saying.
this
I'm
is
not
why I
trying to say
shout
we
about.
should halt
Yeah.
progress, but
Oh no,
I was
but
going to
I
ask you
think
when you go to these.
well,
I was going to say
well,
when you go to these events like with indie and stuff, do you have to? You obviously get to play demos of those indie games, but do you have to wait in huge queues, or do you get to play everything as pretty much
well,
you're
it
waiting for
depends.
5 or 10?
Of the big events like EGX, your AAAs, you will have huge queues to wait for, and then it kind of reduces depending on if it's an indie game or it's a AA game, or depending on how this game is. So yes, you will have to wait. But the thing I've found is I'm not so adverse to waiting, especially when it comes to small events like WASD.
No, it's not. It wasn't. It's not. It wasn't really to do with the waiting. It was just more to do because even when the demos, in the past you have to wait, but it was just more of a case of like, is it so jammed that like you're just thinking, oh, what's the point? Or because I've been at E3, right, when
Yeah,
there's been like behind closed doors events for consumers, but for some reason it's in a tent, on the show floor
yeah,
where you can
yeah.
go into a little room and play and there's queues there for 2 hours and people are happy to wait. That's not the issue. It was just when you go to these gaming events, you get, because your time is limited. I meant in terms of being able to access everything within the limited period that
I think
you.
that's just part. You see it as part and parcel of the event. You kind of go. It's like a lot of times the events are over 3 days. I can't always make 3 days, and so I kind of have to, kind of work my timescales at what I can play. So yes, if it's a 4 hour, if it's a 3 hour long wait, clearly I'm going to miss out on a multiple smaller games that I could probably get through. But the reason
But it's
why
still cool to see someone. I was going to say, but it's still cool to see someone playing it, right? Or and being able to see it on the screen, moving with the live sound and the developers chat. You still
it's
taking the essence of what it has
that's
to
what I'm
offer.
saying. Yeah, the experience of those events is addictive. It's incredibly
Yeah.
enjoyable. You get to speak. Do you know what? I have made new friends, new experiences by talking with people right beside me. I was in playing the Sonic game, for instance, which was last year. I was playing because you're in a booth with about, I don't know, 12 other people, and my one, just for some reason, my machine decided to have a major tantrum, break down, and I was losing time. And so the guy helped me out and told me how to fix it for me. And in that time, I was having a chat with the publisher. I was having a chat with the guy next to me, who I've never even met before. It's such a unique experience, and it's one of those things that I
Yeah.
just think that is, once you get used to once you get used to those events, you always want to go. You always want to keep going to those events. It's a great way for meeting up with your fellow gamers that maybe you're on social media, but you don't see day to day. So, for instance, I know I'm going to see Indy. I probably only see Indy maybe twice a year. You know, we're both at these events, so I get to speak to him in person, enjoy his company. You know, have a laugh, talk about the fact that Stubz is crap at gears, stuff like that. You know, you get to start those interactions which you would normally not get. And that's why I want these events to continue. I want these to kind of the publishers, the big developers to kind of keep these events support, because it's much more than just profit. It's getting to the point where you're making the industry bland. If everything's just going to be filtered through your TV box, you are going to miss out on some fantastic real world experiences. And in some cases, I think people are.
Ru, I was just going to say, every time we talk about this thing, like stuff being filtered through digitally, it takes me back to a scene. I don't know what movie it is. It's a Batman movie where the Riddler, I don't know if it's with Val Kilmer. He creates the device, and everyone's sitting at home, and they've just got this sort of a plunger, attached to.
And Jim Carrey, and it plugs onto his forehead,
Jim Carrey,
yes.
Yeah, and that's and every time stuff like this is mentioned or even sort of embarked upon, that's the first image that comes to my mind in terms of where we're.
Yeah, you just sit in front of a box and everything's filtered through it, and you don't move, you don't do anything.
And everyone's got a plunger on their forehead.
Exactly.
Well, most people have that already, and that's where we're headed, and that's just like
this is the thing. It's one of the reasons I absolutely love going to these events, because I know at least 2 times out of the year I'm going to meet some amazing people, some amazing devs, catch up with my fellow gamers, catch up with my fellow man, and just have a really good time, even if the event itself is crap. You know, say it's like been a really bad year, I'm still going to enjoy myself. I'm still going to have those experiences that you just wouldn't get sitting at home. You know, and it's it's one of those things. If you don't support it, and this is what I keep I'm hoping to keep pushing. People and developers. I keep mentioning to them, it's like, these events are brilliant. You really should keep these things going. I always say keep these things going. I've had chat with like some of the owners of WASD, and it's like I always give them enthusiasm. It's like, these fantastic events, we really need to keep them good. I don't mind even if they're smaller. Say it's just like smaller events that happen throughout the year. I think they need to be kept going. I think they need to be supported, because trust me, once they're gone, you're never going to get them back, and you'll be sitting in front of your screens and you'll never go and meet anybody. You won't, if there's something there to kind of prompt you to get out of your seat and enjoy, then you've got that excuse to do so. But if there's nothing, you're just going to be sitting in front of the box all the time, and you're going to miss out on some really, really great experiences, and I just really hope that, we as gamers we can kind of make that happen. We can push that if we want it to happen. The trouble is, I think sometimes we fall a little bit lazy, and I'm trying to, and I've done this myself, where I sometimes get a bit lazy. I think you just kind of.
I have some, sort of nieces and nephews in their 20s, and they come to me or my wife and they said, my goodness, the era that you guys lived in, pre-mobile phones, pre-tablets, pre-laptops on the go, pre-touch iPhones. You guys lived in a super cool era. No. They say you live. Well, you get those guys as well, but the people, unfortunately, I speak to people, well, perhaps are slightly more intelligent, that say you guys lived in a super cool era.
But it's not something that's around
again.
Well, no, it can still be there if we support it. That's the thing, and this is
no. I mean, like,
when I see people calling, so it's like, oh, let's just,
They appreciate the fact that, look, those times would have been cool because you were on the road to discovery, and so much has changed. Things are changing less now, but perhaps not for the better. But you were there sort of like in the dark ages, you know, and then you guys learned, you know,
Yeah.
how to make fire, etc. You know, sort of you went through the plague or whatever, you know. So you know,
Well,
it was a
yeah.
cool time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It was. We saw the birth of the internet. We saw the birth of video games. We saw the birth of digital media. At the same time, we was outside, and it was our
I remember
day-to-day
making
natural
invoices.
reaction of meeting people, and then obviously we saw the birth of the digital side of things. I think both can work equally well, but the problem being is now for the outside experiences, the person-to-person experiences, we have to fight more for those to happen because it's so easy as digital media is in general. It's so easy just to kind of go for the easy way out, but forget the ripple effect, forget on the knock-on effects that it has to everybody, including gamers in general. We can have a great call or a great chat over Discord, Zoom, or Teams, but it's nothing compared to in real life having a chat with the guy or a gaming mate. It's triple the experience in terms of that. I can have a really good chat with
Well,
Indy online, but when I see him in person, that just makes it even so much more better to see him there, to have a chat with him in person, it's a so much better experience. And if we don't support that, it will just be a kind of watered down sort of gaming experience in terms of those events. That's why I see people say, "Oh, we should." Some people trying to call it, it's like, "Well, just let EGX die." No, if anything, it should be a renewed call to push to make it even bigger, make it even better. Try and go out there, support it. Because I tell you one thing: once those events die, what are you going to do? You're just going to sit on Teams. You're going to sit on Xbox Live and chat all the time. Trust me.
I remember.
As someone who had LAN parties, you experiencing gaming with your fellow man and fellow girl in real life is 10 times better than it is just saying being online. And it's not until
Reminded
you
me of.
experience it that
I was going to say,
it's
it reminded me of like '92 when I was making invoices in Sage. Sage software.
Christ.
My goodness. I had to
But
put adverts together. I don't even know the software I was using at the time to put adverts together for magazines and
Christ,
stuff like that.
yeah.
My God.
But it's one of those things. It's like I think we
Now people do it on their phone.
yeah. It's I do, as you well know. But it's we've forgotten in person. We've gotten that in person gaming community. We kind of missed that. Arcades should never be shut down. I think people have forgotten the joy of gaming with friends in real life.
Coin up chaos.
Yeah, yeah. It's I
I've
know
actually we're
that's my
fortunate because
rant for the day. I think it's one of those things that I just would like to see more people. I'm not saying touch grass, but more people to go out and speak to to game with their fellow man outside of their own personal box.
talking of
You
touching
know,
grass, how are you getting on with the moss charger, Mr. Stubbs?
he's
Is he
gone to
still there?
sleep, isn't he? He's gone to sleep, or he's
Oh,
gone for a dump. You know what it's like.
well, it could be toast. He sometimes goes off to make toast.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. We can say anything we want about him now, really, because he's not here. So in chat, if you feel like you kind of just take the piss out of Stubz, please do. Hello, Invader Gaming. Nice for you to join us. Stubz has buggered off somewhere. We don't know if he could be asleep, for all we know. So we'll find out later. He hasn't mentioned anything that he's buggered off, but he's decided to disappear. We're currently chatting about being a bit nostalgic and supporting gaming events. Seeing your fellow gamer in the real world versus online all the time, and the benefits of doing so. So if you're into that sort of thing, feel free to talk about it. But no, it's I think I cannot express that, meeting up with your fellow gamers in real life and gaming with them in real life, which these events allow. It's just another level, and it should be supported. Anyway, that's another rant of me because I'll probably end up ranting about that. Let's move on to kind of games you're looking forward to, VJ. Well, hang on, we just got something from me. It says, Back from the Dead has said, I wish I was there in person. Events close to me, each one is a plane flight away. I fully understand how the problems you have there. We've got a few fellow gamers in the UK who are in the rural areas. The best I can explain, well, the best advice I can give to you is, whilst obviously flight planes and absolutely, create a local one. Do it yourself, if necessary. Create a club that you'll meet up, and you'll go, and you'll do like an in-person gaming event, or even just like an in-person, like a co-op event or something, at someone's house or sometime. Those little things, trust me, it will make your experience of gaming a hell of a lot more enjoyable. Plus, it'll work better. Dazza says he's gone for a Tommy Tank. This is Stubz we're talking about here. That's all I'm going to say. And Invaders mentioned, problem is a lot of events have become expensive, even base tickets. I agree. And one of the reasons I think that it has become more expensive is because, as with any event, the more people, it gets more expensive over two things: inflation and general costs of living. But also, I've noticed is that when people start to kind of, retract going, and there's less people going there, that for some reason they like to put the price up to try and cover up the costs, which is then a catch-22, which then means, it's too expensive, so I'm not even more going. Yeah, I'm not going to say what you've said, Desiree. That's why I went Tommy Tank. I'm not being that silly. But for if what I would do is, if these bigger ones, these bigger events are too expensive, do smaller ones. Do your game jams. Do maybe small, and if there's no events locally to you, that's something. Maybe try to create one. What's the worst that could happen? You could make some new friends, have a bit of a laugh, and you meet people in person. It's, I can't express enough that gaming with your fellow gamers in person, it's something that we really should do more often. It really is. Co-op online's great, but co-op in person, trust me, even if it's just like get your mates around for a beer and do some co-op. Trust me, it's a whole new experience in that regards. But anyway, let's talk about games that you potentially are looking forward to this quarter coming, VJ? Anything that you've spotted so far in the long distance that you're looking forward to?
I guess it's got to be. I'm looking forward to Metaphor ReFantasio, but it just depends on how knackered I am after playing Iodine Chronicles and now Octopath Traveler. But I think the one game which the second trailer kind of ignited my excitement for it, especially since I didn't play Monster Hunter that much. The previous one is definitely Monster Hunter Wilds. I think that potentially, well, if they improve upon the previous version, aesthetically at least, it seems to be quite promising, especially since it's co-op. Because I've been playing a lot of single player games, other than what was it?
Well,
Gears?
that'll be interesting.
What was it?
Yeah.
Recently,
I'll be looking forward to co-op to see how well that works. Do you know if it's a drop-in, drop-out co-op?
I really don't know, but other than that, single player games, I know there's a fair few, right? I mean, Fable looks quite interesting, but like you said, I think last week, we need to see a lot more. But it's promising in terms of the premise and the visual aesthetics, etc. But I think we know Capcom, they don't really release anything that's subpar. Well, as long as it's not in Game Pass. But yeah, I think Wild Arms, but I don't know what to make of the new Dragon Age. I know it doesn't have a release date, but
you know my
it's just
thoughts on that
trailers at
already.
the moment. Even if it's
But there is
gameplay, it's
gameplay
just
for it.
trailers
There
at
is
the
gameplay
moment.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the thing is, even the trailers now, and even gameplay trailers, and even sort of media, sort of previews. Like Iodine Chronicles. I was after the first 10 hours, I was going to say that that's enough, but I ended up spending 10 times that amount. But and then obviously, so if you're playing a video game of that sort of size, it's got to engage you for at least a few dozen hours. And I think Monster Hunter Wilds might well be worth it. But there's
Yeah,
just so much
definitely wants
content
someone.
out there. But I'm not an Assassin's Creed guy. I'm not a Call of Duty guy. I don't play those games anymore. I think I'm like you. I played Black Flag, and that was about it.
I love Black
But,
Flag. Absolutely love that Black Flag
and
game.
you?
Again, you've picked up pretty much on every single one that I was kind of looking forward to. I've just quickly kind of had a quick mention of chat regarding Luke's comment to talk about one of the reasons pubs are kind of closing down is because there's not really the captive audience. One of the things I've seen recently, at least in the town I have, is that they've opened up a comic book store in our town. And to ensure that captive audience, what they've allowed doing now is they've actually allowed a lot of card games, a lot of Warhammer games to be played in the shop, as well as the shop itself being, comic books and manga. So what has happened with that particular thing is they've opened it up to allow gamers and board game enthusiasts and modeled game enthusiasts to enter that shop and almost like use it as a community space. That shop has taken off. That has literally every weekend there is people in that shop. And what I'm seeing now is that people that would probably not ever go out or play games are now going into that shop and playing with their fellow gamers, their fellow board gamers, their fellow model enthusiasts. And it's been a bit of a weird one. What I've seen there is then that's translated to other shops. So, for instance, what I've seen is the people who have gone into that shop after they finish their games or they've completed things, what they'll do is then they'll go down to the local restaurant and buy a meal there and continue chatting with each other. And at the end of that restaurant, then they'll go to the local pub. And it's all spread from that one shop. And it's the same thing with events. If you can find some place that's like that will get great people in there, the knock-on effect could be a lot bigger than just that mere one element. And at least in the town that I know of, it's attracted a hell of a lot more people to go out and experience things. And it's the knock-on effect with other shops has then led to more people going out. So, as you rightly said, our local pubs suffered horrendously in the COVID period. But because of the people in that shop have now then kind of translated to the restaurants and then to translate it over to the pubs, they're finding now people are now being attracted back to those pubs just by more people turning up. And it all happened from this one shop that said, look, as a community, you can come here and play your games and we're not going to charge you. And it kind of just spread out and made it better for the town itself. The town itself has now become better for it. Money is circulating, so it's spreading about a bit. All just because this one comic book shop decided that it was just going to end up letting people play some games there for free. So I think that kind of tells to people's enthusiasm for still meeting up in person. I think if we still have that need to speak to each other in person rather than online. We just need maybe something to kick it off. But it's one of those things. It's what's I say? Right, if I plays the new Yakuza, and then goes and buys a local chippy. All I care is about how many people I can get to play my game. I can understand that, yeah. I understand where publishing. I think you're right. I think they can be too. What's the word I'm looking for? Tunnel visioned. Publishers are notoriously tunnel visions. They only think about that one aspect. So that's where I think you need bigger hitters to kind of take the vision on. You need someone with a bigger vision to kind of lead that aspect there. And that could be the community, the gaming community as a whole, or it could be just maybe the bigger platforms, your Xbox, your PlayStation, your Nintendo, your Sega, just say, actually, no, we're still going to keep these events rolling. We're going to invest in these events. We're going to try and make these events keep going. They need someone with a foresight there to kind of overwrite maybe the more closed-minded aspects of the of the community. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it is a solution. And it just needs a little bit of a push. And I think if we push for it as us gamers push for it, we can make anything happen. I'm a firm believer that we as gamers have the power to make anything happen. But it's up to us to kind of make that change. If we don't want it to happen, we won't happen. What was that, VJ?
Yeah, it would require a concerted effort.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm not saying it won't, but what's the alternative? Nothing happens, and then it just becomes digital only. If that's the lifestyle we want, where everything's just filtered through the TV for you, which seems to be the way things are going, fine, that's the way it is. But
if Jim Carrey to have his way,
yeah, we're plugged in head first into a TV, and we're not going to move from there. If that's the lifestyle we want, we can have that lifestyle. If I have you want a lifestyle where you meet your mates in person still, have a few beers, have a few, drinks, have some food, enjoy yourself, go out and about, then we kind of have to kind of support the events that allow us to do that. It's up to us, and I'm just, trying to say, it's up to us to do it's up to us. If we want to make it happen, we'll make it happen. As a gaming community, it's up to us. I think, and it's one of the things. Go on.
No, I was going to say, I know Stubz is back and he's dying to talk about Gear 6 for the next 10 minutes. So I was going to, sort of allow him to have the stage if he wants it.
Hello. Yeah, well, I am.
Hello, Mr. Stubz.
Yeah, sorry about that. I fell asleep for a bit. I did. It's not happened in a long time, that hasn't.
We thought you made toast, and
no, I didn't.
Daz thought you went for a Tommy Tank.
No, sorry about that. I'll have to listen back to the podcast to what I missed. Oh well.
It was a mini rant of why gaming events should be supported and the potential benefits of these events that can have on not only just the gaming community as a whole, but obviously as a financial and societal benefit as well. So we kind of went in depth and a mini rant for myself. That's kind of why they should be why we should make an effort as a community to try and keep these things going.
Oh, okay.
But I think we've said our pieces now, and then what we was doing, we moved straightly on to what games are we looking forward to in the last quarter of this year, and pretty much VJ named every single bloody one that I was interested in. So I kind of what more I can say about that. Besides, obviously there's some fantastic indie games I'm going to keep an eye out for. But to be honest with you, I think that's where we got, and then you kind of said, "I'm back."
Yeah. And
So how you feeling? Was it a good sleep?
Well,
Good snap? Was you thinking of Gears?
some woke me up. But yeah, I can't
Was
laugh
it?
because you did it, didn't you?
Did he want toast?
Yeah. The difference being for me though is,
could
and
hear
I said
you.
this is, I had a beer,
Yeah.
and I made the fatal error of laying down. So I physically laid, because I've got one of these long sofas, so I laid fully down, and that is the worst thing ever
Yeah,
to do.
it is.
After a beer, just to lay fully down, because then your body relaxes, and before you know it, you're doing what I did on stream, snoring. Where at least
Yeah, I've got no idea what I'm looking forward to the last part of the year because I've woken up. I can't remember. I can't think what's coming out.
Are you
A
looking forward to
terrible
Christmas?
terrible host is this today. I am.
It's all right.
It's lucky Lewis didn't come in. It's lucky Lewis didn't come in.
Oh, to be fair, me and VJ had a really good chat. Do you think, VJ? I think that's
good to hear.
It's no different to when we're co-oping on a video game. That's
this
all
is
it
true.
misses. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
All it misses was last. Well, potentially a lot more of me
Holding-
swearing, going,
holding
"Why
it
is that
control.
bloody happening?" Yeah,
That's all
That's
that was missing, I think.
yeah, just the odd
I thought,
swearing of
this is
me.
just like playing co-op, but without a video game.
It is. This is so you for those in the chat and those listening later on. That was a prequel, a kind of like a insight to how me and VJ normally talk
Demo.
when we're
demo.
doing co-op. Yeah, we're playing a demo or something like that. It's just
demo.
it's yeah, it's yeah. We do like to have our little mini rants, our little conversations.
While we wait for Stubz to join us, especially when we're playing Gears, we wait for Stubz to join us. Where is he? He said he'd be here.
Well,
yeah,
I did play Hivebusters, but we'll have to get Removable to play that, won't we?
I played that with you already, if you remember correctly. It was me, you, and VJ.
Yeah, we did. We need to play again.
Removable. I'll tell you what, revisiting it with Paul AFC and with Stubz.
I couldn't remember a lot of it. I couldn't.
Yeah, it really makes you. It was really like playing it again for the first time, but it really helps you. It really helped me to appreciate, how good the design is, overall game design is for that.
I'm surprised you didn't go down the horde modes, because that's the thing that me and you used to play, Stubz.
It was. No, just Hivebusters we wanted to play. That was why.
No, but remember, I played some horde mode with you.
Oh, I remember.
You know
that got brought up how good you are at telling people what to do in horde mode.
Oh yes, now I remember the horde mode. That is quite phenomenal, actually.
Because I played a particular character which no one wants to play. Yeah, exactly.
That hovering robot. Robot.
I played the character.
I was going to say, was that with Mr. Tushi and animated?
It was.
I'm sure those guys.
Yeah, it was all of us, because it was effectively, you guys all took your individual characters, and I was effectively, the actual robot is just the support character, but he's a phenomenal support character if you know how to play him well. He can keep a whole team alive if you can play him correctly, and that's what my main aim was, to try and just basically keep you guys chugging along no matter what. And then I might, swear when you don't, put up a correct barrier. If I remember correctly, I think I was having my biggest thing was with Stubz, because he kept putting a bloody barrier in the wrong position, so I had to like pick it up and move it elsewhere. It's like, you're bloody well putting it in the wrong position. They're not following that path. Go this path.
Put it out, because that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was actually. Yeah, it was a great fun with those with obviously Tushi and animated, just absolutely taking the piss out of each other, sort of thing, most of the time. But it was one of those it's one of those games. I loved horde mode on Gears. I really do love it. It's if you can find again.
Let's do it.
If you can find a squad. If you can find a squad to play with. But I'll tell you what, as I said, you imagine if we was all in the same room playing squad.
It'd be funny.
2 Xboxes, 2 TVs, all connected up. having a laugh. It would be. It's. I mean, you must remember LAN parties, VJ. Did you ever do a LAN party?
I think so, but it's such a long time ago. But I was talking about when I was in Hong Kong. I had my Xbox. No, I bought one over there, and a friend of mine had one. And for some reason I had two TVs. And I remember I went through the Gears games with him, side by side. Brilliant. I think I
Yeah.
talked about it on the show a couple of weeks back. Yeah, it was really, really, really a lot of fun.
I remember actually playing Gears co-op like that. Yeah, very first Gears co-op like that, where he had one TV, plugged his Xbox in, I had my TV, connected together. Very good fun. Very good fun.
I tell you one game I used to really enjoy with multi-tap on PC Engine. We used to play it all the time. Was Motor Roader.
That sounds familiar.
You're probably not familiar with it. It was like a top-down racing game, a bit like off-road, but you know you can sort of.
Yes.
Bit,
No,
well,
I do
Mario
remember
Kart
that.
the idea with the oil
Mm.
slicks. You can leave an oil slick and stuff, but that was a lot of fun on the PC Engine 4 controllers. But again, all sitting, we're in the same room, playing on the same TV screen because you can.
Yep. I remember. Yeah, I remember. The screen member says, "I remember taking cardboard and sellotaping it to the TV screen, the CRT TV, so that it's like it was split screen, so he couldn't see my screen, and I couldn't see his."
I'll be back. I'll be back. Sorry.
No worries. I think Stubz said he's going to talk to us about what's happening for next week. You said there's something happening next week, wasn't it?
I don't know. Masuku's coming on next week. He is. I'm not sure what we're talking about then. Hopefully, I'm more organised next week. I wasn't. Hopefully, I don't fall asleep next week. Hopefully, either.
Well, I for a prequel for next week, what we can talk about is, I suspect, it's not a happy chappy topic. It will be because I sent you this in the DMs, was that fact another studio is closed under BlackRock.
Oh, you did, yeah. Yeah, you did.
And BlackRock seems to be at this current stage almost of potentially buying up gaming studios and then effectively dismantling them. Effectively, it almost seems like, because it's, buy them up and then a couple of years later they're kind of gone to no more. It kind of is not a great thing, and it's how that as a general is impacting the gaming industry. We can talk about that next week. We can probably end up talking about any any events. There's no events coming next week, is there?
No, I don't think so.
Is there a PlayStation event?
No.
PlayStation's returning to the
TGS.
That's it.
Tokyo Game Show.
That's
yes.
it. They're returning.
So we've got that. Yeah, we've got that to kind of talk about. I think that should cover at least two topics, because we like to deviate. We like to talk about everything. So
we do. But I reckon we'll wrap it up there. Thanks everyone for listening to VJ and RemovableSanity this week. I hope you've enjoyed their conversations. Because I fell asleep like a muppet. But I can't
stand either of them.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on RemovableSanity. Tell people where they can find you.
Not at all. It's obviously great to have a good in-depth conversation with VJ and the odd 5 minutes with yourself, in between sleeping. Oh,
yeah.
Olaf said he just quickly nipped in saying, "Of evening, lads. Sorry, I got obsessed with First Descendant." Yeah, we talked about that slightly on earlier in the podcast.
I downloaded it, not played it. That's basically what we talked about. In fact, I downloaded it because Paul kept talking about it in the DM. He did.
He hasn't even tried the tutorial. That's how bad it is. So, well, hopefully we can talk about that next week. That's a perfect game we can talk about next week.
Yeah, we can.
Much appreciated to everybody in the chat, obviously VJ and Stubz yourself. For those who wish to catch up or keep in chat with the crap that I spout, you can catch me on YouTube, Minds, Rumble, and Xbox and X under the name RemovableSanity.
Thanks for coming on, Removable, and VJ. I appreciate you coming on again.
Oh yeah, no, thanks for having me, and yeah, it was a good chat, and get back to some gaming, I think, later on today. But yeah, thanks for having me on, and speak to you again soon, and hopefully we'll get in some Gears of War Horde mode, or whatever it's called.
Yep.
No, definitely, we'll have to arrange that. We will, because I do like
you
playing.
can showcase it on
games.
Rumble.
I can stream to Rumble now because I don't know if you've seen VJ after me complaining to Rumble, the one of the top weeks. There was no Gears of War games options. He added all of them to Rumble for me. He did. I was disgusted there was no Gears of War options. They got added. So fair play to him for doing that, actually. Yeah, mate. So yeah, we can do that. But we will be back next week. And then I will talk more next week. I won't fall asleep. As we've all had our turn. VJ's the only one I think who hasn't fallen asleep, because you've got to remember with VJ, he's still in daytime.
Well, to be honest with you, VJ normally says he has to leave,
Yeah.
and then I suspect he falls asleep. He has the etiquette to tell us he's going to leave first before falling asleep.
Yeah, probably.
Well, we're just rude and fall asleep.
But thanks everyone. Please check out GamerHub. Search it on Google. We're now a brand partner. Just a partnership. Nothing's changing at all. All the same places you can find us as always. And follow me on Rumble at Stubz Gaming, YouTube at Stubz Gaming, X at Stubz Gaming. I think that's it. But yeah, everyone. Thanks everyone.